Alright. So we finished, you know, the little game that involved Wakasa. He got over his fears. Not really fears, more like, I guess, insecurities, I guess? I don't know what you call it, but like his trauma about, you know, smiling on stage. Um, Even though it was a fake smile, but, you know, all he had to do was have fun. You know, that's all he needed to do. So he got out with Mitarashi, and now we're just sneaking around. And I guess we're not really going to the games to help the others. Instead, we're just gonna go sneak in and just save the hostages ourselves somehow. I don't know how, but I guess we'll see. I guess Urabe told us about a secret entryway, right? That's how we get in. Toa was right by my side when I blearily opened my eyes. I nodded. My legs don't feel like they'll fall off anymore. How about you? He glanced around. We'd found one of the park's storage rooms open and locked it from the inside so we can catch up on our sleep. I wasn't 100% yet, but it felt loads better than before. We get some breakfast? You know, again, Saki's starving. He hasn't eaten for so long. Right. We cautiously stepped outside and headed off in an eastern direction. We stopped for a breather outside Samurai Fantasy after successfully avoiding the search parties as far as we could tell. Just like headshot them all, you know? Pew pew pew. Shoot, what should we do now? He nodded decisively. Right, there's too many, you'll get hurt. We begged and pleaded with him, but Mitarashi just smiled. But yes, the plot requires Mitarashi to just not be in the scene because he's a third wheel, you know, in Wakasa's Ra. Obviously, he needs to distract all the enemies. He looked both of us in the eye. He did have a point. I promise we won't give up until we rescue everyone. He pulled the gun from his pocket. Better use that gun to shoot up everyone, I guess. That's the second time that this gun is being used, maybe, in terms of like defending Saki. He placed the gun gently into Toa's hand. The two bumped fists. Wow, bro fists. He headed off in a sprint toward the castle. As soon as the piglets spotted him, they gave chase. Do you think he'll be okay? Right. We stayed hidden for a while longer to let him get some distance. Yes. The diversion seemed to have worked because we made it to the plaza with no problems. It was completely empty. Mitarashi had somehow gotten all of them to chase him. We're running out of time. The sky was still dark, but every minute that ticked by was one less we had to get to the hostages. Illuminated by light, the imposing castle appeared to have transformed into a lair of an evil demon. Gosh, this place looks totally different at night. We were going to break into this castle. I couldn't stop a shiver up in my spine. Up my spine. I read that weird. Holding my hand tightly, he gave it an extra squeeze. He's still supporting me. Save. Yeah, I reached the limit of my save slot. No. Oop. I thought I could make infinite saves, but now I have to start rotating them. All the way in the beginning. All these saves, I have too many saves. I still haven't reached the top yet. Okay. Overwrite that data. So supporting me, I'm not scared with you here. When you're with me, I feel like I can take on anything. I squeezed back, and then we started to arm wrestle. His hand, warm and strong, gave me strength and courage. Yes, we are. We looked at each other and nodded. A group of piglets suddenly appeared from the inside. Did they spot us? Instead of turning in our direction, they ran off away from us. Mitarashi must be driving them crazy. With them gone, maybe the castle's empty? Let's go! Kuzo! We quickly ran up to the side of the castle and rapidly scanned the walls near the door. Odabe told us that there was a button hidden in the design, and that would open the door from the outside. He pointed to a small nub in among the cracks. He pressed down on it, the large door swung open. Holding our breath, we snuck in as silently as we could. The throne room was silent. Nothing moved. Look, I could see the covered cage in the back. The hostages should still be in there. I slowly stepped across the room, expecting something to jump out of the shadows at any moment. I lifted the sheet covering the cage, and all the hostages turned to look at us in surprise. I wonder, again, I said before, but were they in that cage for like all 7 days? Or something? Hi. Because they're probably very stinky. They haven't eaten, assuming they haven't been fed. You know, in such an enclosed space. Did anyone go, you know, to the washroom, or is, well, did everyone just pee in their pants? I don't know. But there he was, my uncle. As soon as he spotted me, his face turned to one of disbelief.
Saki, omae.
I'm so glad you're okay. We gripped each other's arms through the bars, grinning in relief. He didn't look hurt, but he was definitely worn out. Toa was examining the lock on the cage. Don't just yell it. But how? The lock? Oh, gun? Is it gun time? He pulled out the gun and aimed. That's kind of dangerous. It could like ricochet and hit someone else, so... But whatever. The hostages jumped back immediately. I quickly stepped away too. Phew. With a loud noise, the lock shattered. Oh, yes, of course. That easy. Video game logic. Everyone cheers very loud.
黒子たちがいつ戻ってくるかわかりません。騒がずに静かにここから逃げてください。
Everyone filed out silently. All of their faces were drawn tight with tension. They weren't off the hook yet. Please stay safe. The last person to exit the cage was my uncle. Ah. I practically flew to him, and we hugged each other tightly.
本当に無事でよかった。
Now, I wonder if Keiji Inafune voiced himself, you know? It would make sense. But like, again, it's kind of weird that he's just a cameo in this game. I was really worried about you. I realized I was crying. I was finally able to save him. A ball of stress I buried deep and forgot and suddenly disappeared. My uncle gently stroked my hair, holding me close.
ありがとう、二人とも。一緒にここから脱出しよう。
Almost as one, Toa and I shook our heads.
どうしてだ？
I can't go yet, I'm sorry.
仲間がまだ戦ってるんです。僕たちも最後まで戦います。
That's a very anime thing to say, Wakasa. You know, our friends are still here, fighting. We can't leave them behind.
しかし。
Don't worry, we've made it this far okay. I trust everyone, we can handle it. I looked him straight in the eyes, willing him to understand.
サキちゃんのことは僕が必ず守ります。安心してください。
He stood there, his shoulders straight and his eyes focused. He sounded so determined. A few moments passed as my uncle studied him.
そうか。わかった。お前たちが自分の信じる者のために戦うなら、俺は応援するよ。頑張るんだ。
Thank you.
はい。
二人ともどうか無事で。
He crushed me in a hug again, and then I died. My lungs got destroyed, and then my bones shattered. Game over. And then held on as long as he could before he pulled away.
それじゃあ先に行くよ。
Be careful. Silence overtook the room again.
さて、人質も解放できたし、これからどうしようか。
It's strange that he's in here.
ワルドブーがいたら銃で脅してゲームを中止させようと思ってたのに。
We climbed the stairs and approached the throne. Geez, where is he?
どうしたの？
I think there's something back here. There was a small alcove hidden behind the curtain. The far side held a metal door. Okay, interesting. There isn't like a, a glass wall this time. I guess he didn't set it up yet. Is that an elevator?
ワルドブーがいるかもしれない。行ってみよう。
We ducked behind the curtain and stood in front of the elevator. I guess it only stops here or at the roof. The door opened as soon as the button was pushed. We nodded to each other for courage and stepped inside. We're back here. At least, if we, technically in this route we haven't been here, but we've seen this before. The elevator door slid open to reveal a small room. Still no Hogstein. The room was completely empty. I sighed.
なんだか気が抜けちゃったな。
He plopped down on the floor, dejected. I sank down next to him. Gosh, suddenly I feel all wobbly. I wonder if Mitarashi's alright.
少し休憩したら助けに行こ
う。Hand holding, my god. This game's so lewd. We settled back to back, supporting each other. I felt his warmth soak into me, and his heartbeat was steady. He stretched out his arm and gently took my hand. I threaded my fingers with his. Being with him, I feel so relaxed. Nice stockings.
それにしても、僕、自分の考えでこんなに頑張ったの
I don't know
初めてだよ。
I don't know if I ever saw Saki's legs. I didn't know she wore, stockings. He stepped up and faced down everything in the park and Hogstein had thrown in him. He really come into his own over the past few days. Time to save. What do you call them? I guess they're called stockings, right? Or just knee sock? Thigh highs? I don't know. A lot of words for the things that you wear on your feet. that go up to your legs. I don't know. I mean, both of these seem the same. I don't know. You're amazing. You've been pretty amazing. You came up with good plans and rescued the hostages? I'm glad you're here. I could tell even without looking that he was smiling. Art. It's all true. Thank you for everything. I felt him shift as he turned toward me. I'm gonna make out again, my god. You get a room, you two. Actually, they are in a room, so actually, whatever. Sure. My heart thundered in my chest, but I didn't hesitate to turn to face him, my eyes drifting closed. Did smooch? Did you smooch yet? I think, well, didn't we get the CG where they smooched already? I don't know. Ah! Before my eyes shut, I spotted something over Toa's shoulder. Makeout session interrupted. My surprise must have shown on my face as he became alarmed. There. He's just there, or? Hogstein was watching us from the shadows, his head hovering near the floor by a table. He quickly stood up and pushed me behind him. He's not doing anything, so I imagine this is just a costume, right? Just like last time. He didn't respond. Why isn't he moving? We hesitantly walked up to him. Toa reached down and touched his head. It rolled onto the floor. Ah! What? Then Hogstein's not in it right now? The elevator hummed into life and began returning to the ground floor. We scurried behind a pillar and pressed ourselves as far back into the shadows as we could. The elevator door pinged and Hogstein and the piglet stepped out. Hogstein? What? How? His outfit's right here. Well, he has, you know, just like hey, you have like multiple sets of clothes. He has multiple sets of costumes. My eyes widened and my head snapping to Toa to see him staring back. We both nearly gasped. We immediately covered the other's mouth. Stunned, we huddled together. The Count approached, a gun in his hand. Let me get the gun. Just as a gun, I guess. Oh, okay. He has no filter, which is weird. Well, actually, the gun, actually, when I think about it, I know in Shido's route, there was the decoy, you know, pretending to be Hogstein that did have the gun as well, so I guess, you know, that makes sense. I still don't know how he got the gun, but, you know, I guess that's not the first time he appeared with the gun. He conked the piglet on the head with his fists. Wait, his voice sounded different, younger. Two? Clearly exasperated, he bonked the piglet on the head again. He pressed down the skull that hung around his neck. His voice reverted back to the one we recognized. That skull must be a voice changer, you don't say? I mean, well, maybe the skull itself might be a surprise, but obviously, his voice has always been changed. You know, I just assume Saki didn't just assume that Hogstein just talked like that normally, you know? No, she just means that the skull is like, it's a surprise that it was a skull that is the voice change. You know, not like some kind of filter on the microphone or something. That was like automatic. Anyway, the piglet scrambled into the costume we found behind the table earlier. Okay, like this is the decoy piglet we saw before. Shido's route. What in the world is going on? There are two counts and one's really a piglet. Our minds a whirl of questions. We watch as the piglet now look like Hogstein enter the elevator. Finally alone, he briskly walked up to the desk and reached for a red button on the console there. That must be the alarm. If he pushed that, the piglets would go after the hostages and they'd never escape. Toa must have realized the same thing, because he abruptly jumped out from behind the pillar. He looked surprised to see us, and especially surprised to see a gun pointed at him. Too bad he gave away his gun, you know? Hogstein slowly raised his hands in the air. Even though he was clearly not in control of the situation, Hogstein shook his head. Bang! Pointing his hand like a gun, he pretended to fire, then blew imaginary smoke off the end. We have to go help him. First, we assassinate him. Kill him now. He pointed the gun. Do it. Do it, Anakin. A gunshot echoed off the walls. The bullet struck the console. It's not like shoot Hogstein. Just shoot the computer. Sparks flew as the panel shorted out. None of the buttons will work now. It's called vandalism. You see? So is it really vandalism when you're the criminal too? You know, what happens if you commit a crime while a crime is going on at the same time? You know, like you're like a third party that committed a crime against someone who's doing a crime. Does that count as a crime as well? You know, is it double crime or is it justified? I don't know. I guess that's up to the lawyers to decide. Right. After a tense moment waiting for the elevator to return, we left and Hogstein just watched us go. The sky was already brightening when we stepped outside. The plaza was empty, and since the alarm panel was broken, no sirens will go off anytime soon. I wonder if the hostages got out okay. Then we just need to worry about Mitarashi, but we have no idea where he is. The park was so huge, we didn't have our phones. It was like finding a needle in a haystack. What? He pointed the gun up over his head and fired. I asked, more shooting. Pew! What are you doing? Like a flare gun, you know, except can't really see. It's not really a flare. It's like the sound itself is the signal, not so much the light. He grabbed my hand and pulled me behind a corner of the castle. Within seconds, an overwhelming number of piglets came running out of the forest and into the plaza. I don't understand. Yes, of course. You're right, that was a great idea. Shooting a gun into the air. Yeah. We scurried around the plaza, keeping to the shadows, and hurried into the forest. Now, what happens to the bull? I'm just thinking, wait. Well, I mean, probably there's already been some kind of video or kind of research topic about it, but what happens if you shoot a gun up and then, like, obviously usually when you shoot a gun, it hits something, right? But when you shoot it up, it goes directly into the sky? Does it ever go down? You know, is it fast enough to break through the stratosphere into space? Probably not. So eventually it goes down. And what happens when it drops down and hits someone? Does that count as assault if that happens? I don't know. The gunshot must have drawn nearly all of them when we didn't come across any as we went deeper. Suddenly the trees thinned as we reached a clearing. In the middle was a small storage shed. We hid behind some trees and watched as we approached the door to the shed, which was surrounded by piglets. Oh, the piglets have guns too? Oh, well, actually, the decoy one has a gun, rather. The fake one. It's him.
あの中にいるならひとまず安心だけど。おやおや、いいんですかね。もしあなたが出てこないなら捕まえた若さ嬢さんと依頼でサキさんを始末しちゃいますよ。あいつ。
He was using us as his bargaining chip and lied straight to his face. Don't believe him. A couple moments later, the door of the shed opened and Mitarashi stepped out. He stared down the Count, glaring. When the gun was pointing at him, he raised his hand. Ah, yes. Uh-oh. What? That's horrible! Okay. Not only did he trick Mitarashi into thinking he'd capture us and use our lives to get him to give up, and now he's gonna shoot him just because? I mean, if we restrain ourselves, Mitarashi's just gonna get shot. If we make a nuisance now, maybe something... well, maybe he'll still get shot anyway, but... ah, whatever. Let's get mad. We jumped down from behind the tree. Hiya! Hogstein spun around to find himself at gunpoint. Our appearance seemed to be a surprise as he groaned in frustration. Behind him, Mitarashi grinned. He crouched as he spoke, but now he launched himself forward. Hogstein hastily shot at him, but it went wild, only grazing his coat. You couldn't do that in the first place, then. With a terrifying yell, Mitarashi drove his fist into the pig's head. Okay. I assume this is the fake one, right? I assume the real one was talking through the fake one, or is this the real one? It's hard to keep track now. I don't know. Because I assume the real one was still back at the castle. I don't know. The blow threw him out to the ground so hard he actually bounced. He didn't so much as twitch after that. Dismissing any future threat from that direction, he jogged up to us. Right. We took off running, leaving the panicking piglets behind to fend for themselves. We barreled through the woods and flew past Alice's car without so much as a glance. Somehow we reached Band Animal Family without getting caught by the piglets in the area. He had a point. The last game is gonna start soon, but it won't be over for 7 hours. How could we make it that long without getting caught? But Mitarashi just grinned, never breaking his stride. Huh? Where? Hotel. Okay, just threw him off the ship. Isn't that against the rules? Okay, what a way to find that loophole, I guess. You know, we never did hear from Hogstein while we were there. We looked at each other and pushed our tired bodies to go faster. That was close. We reached the dock right as the ship was pulling away, and by some stroke of luck we were able to get on board. We were all gasping for breath. The park was huge and we'd been running full tilt. My! She grinned down at us, sprawled out on over the floor where we collapsed, completely exhausted. I just did some cardio, don't worry about it. Yeah, we played tag on our way back. We were pretty tired, yeah, just some tag, that's all. That'd be great, thanks. It was hard to believe we were running for our lives a few minutes ago. It was like that night and day. Ah, I was more than willing to just lay on the floor until I spotted a piglet out of the corner of my eye. I froze. I didn't seem to know what was going on, just curious. It does look like they'll hurt us. It does look like? He handed it over. Mitarashi lazily swung his arm up and pointed at the nearest piglet. His glare was so fierce the piglet jumped to obey instantly, summoning the rest of them. And also, where are the other guys? Are they... I can't remember. They said the game hasn't started yet, or have they already been doing the game? I don't know. I don't remember. A sea of heads nodded. Mitarashi flashed a grin, and then he executed them one by one with his gun. Pew pew pew! No. Or at least something close to it. Again, we know these people are innocent though. I guess he's telling them to jump in the river. Just go jump off. Well, what if some of them can't swim? They're gonna drown. Faced with the possibility of a bullet, their decision was already made. They all tumbled into the river. Yeah, without any context, it's actually pretty messed up. The two of them lean over the edge and watch them flounder, completely unconcerned. I don't... But what about you? Mai was hanging on his every word, her eyes wide. How hard can it be? You just like steer the wheel, right? Hand in hand, the two of them walked off into the pilot house. He's so... I guess that was supposed to be yawning. You are too. We should go take a rest, huh? Ah, oh, I'm okay by myself.
心配だから一緒に行く。
I suppose I am. Thanks. He was so sweet for being worried about me. We slowly trudged together to my room. I think he wants more than... I don't know. Probably. This hits the spot. Toa and I step inside my room, my feet beeline to the bed, and I collapse on the covers. Dude, I'm totally pooped. Again, I'm still wondering where are the other guys though? Are they playing the game? But like, there's no hostages, so there's no point in playing the game. They should just leave. I was already falling asleep. I could barely keep my eyes open. No, wait, I need to thank him first. Huh? I rolled over to see what had happened, only to find Toa sprawled out next to me. Yes, of course. This is what he wanted. Wow.
もう僕一歩も歩けない。
Sneaky. Huh? What?
ねえ、ここで一緒に寝てもいいでしょ?
Yeah, but this is not a R18 plus game. Wakasa, we can't have those scenes here. His face was just inches from mine. Oh, his lashes so long. Lashes. Focus. Well, I hadn't said that. No, it's okay. I felt my face heat up. He and I both knew I didn't mind him being there.
ありがとう。じゃあ一緒に寝よう。
His soft smile was impossibly tender. He took my hand and gently threaded our fingers. My God, now you're doing it in bed? His head, I held his hand tight. We lay there for a while in the warm, comfortable closeness. All my stress melted away, replaced with an overwhelming urge to sleep. On the edge of drifting off, I heard Toa whisper.
僕、これが終わったら、ちゃんとみんなに言うよ。
Tell them. I assume his, like, boy band, maybe? Is that what he's talking about? His other, like, co-workers or somebody else? I don't know. What? What do you mean? I will never know. I tried to pull myself back from the edge of sleep so I could ask him, but I was too far gone. My eyes closed. I fell into a deep and untroubled sleep. A month had passed. Well, okay, already? Okay, is this the ending already? I kind of felt like... I mean, there was, I guess, a bit of a climactic situation there. A climactic scene, I guess, where, you know, Saki and Wakasa saved everyone, you know, and got to the ship, right? But, like, I kind of just, you know, floated. They just, like, went to sleep, and then, whoop, a month had passed. I didn't know she slept that long. After waking up from my nap in the hotel, I learned the others had managed to beat the final game. Okay, they just did it off screen. All of us were released, including Mai. We couldn't go anywhere without hearing about it for a while. Makes me wonder though, wait, why did you have to do the final game though? The hostages were gone. You could just leave. It's not like they had, well, it's not like you had bombs on your, like, bracelets or anything, you know? No one was, like, forced to play the game because they would have, like, a bomb in their stomach or something like that, you know? There was no reason to play the games anymore. They should have just left. But, whatever. I guess they just want to finish the final game. They're all gamers. Obviously, they want to finish the final game. They couldn't leave without doing that. But Shido arranged this so we wouldn't have to deal with the media by not releasing any personal information. It wasn't the same for my uncle and the other hostages. The last time I saw him, he told me that they were hounded by the press every day. He looked exhausted. As for the 7 teammates who fought for their lives together, we've all gone our separate ways. Hiromiyoshi started a part-time job. Okay, that's similar to what happened before. Urube regretted his involvement in Hogstein's plot and turned himself in. Izarashi went back to working in Ulysses and recently started delving into video games. How he was still interested in them after everything that had happened was beyond me, but he seemed happy. Shirei was still hunting down the truth. None of the mysteries surrounding Count Hogstein had been solved. He completely disappeared after the game ended. According to Shido's official report, the piglets turned out to be regular, innocent people. As long as there was a blank to them, they had no memory of it. Okay, this is very similar to Shido's route. Some said Hogstein must have hypnotized them, but no one really knew. I was sure either Shidobe or Shido would find the truth someday. Interesting. Because in Shido's ending, it was confirmed that they were hypnotized, right? But this is saying like they were maybe hypnotized, but maybe it was something else? I don't know. As for me, His arm slid around me as he came up from behind, and he glanced at the video playing on my phone. Only a few. Okay, a lot. It still amazes me. I snuggled into his hug. He leaned in to press us cheek to cheek. I could feel him smiling. Hey, that tickles. I laughed. The video I was watching was from when Towa, member of the super popular Junior Boys, announced to the public that he had a girlfriend. Okay, that's what he was saying. The cameras flashing in his face took in his serious expression, proof of his resolve. He held a press conference right after being released from the park. The topic, he was now dating a normal girl. Normies. He met me, of course. The fans and press went bonkers, and his announcement ended up everywhere. This video alone was viewed thousands of times, and probably a bunch of very jealous and angry comments by his female fans, probably. The media outlets tried to find this mystery girl for a while. At first, there were a lot of heartbroken fans, but they eventually decided to be happy for him. The press backed off. I'm surprised that none of his fans started to like dox him and harass him and gave him death threats. I don't know, that's usually what happens, is all I'm saying. Between the two of us, things had been great. No one knew who I was, so I had to be careful every time I was public with him. It was harder than I expected. But Towa understood. He came up with ways for us to get a moment together, and was always there when I needed him. What happened in the park seemed to have strengthened him, and made him a better man. It was obvious to everyone his popularity skyrocketed afterward. Anyway, I never in a million years thought I'd be ever be dating someone famous. It's now worked out. Now you have plenty of money. You can marry him and get like totally just like be rich and everything. That'd be great. Every day I had to do surprises and troubles. Sometimes I felt uneasy. Towa, are you really sure about me? I lost count how many times I asked him this, but I couldn't help it. What's that phone? I mean, it's supposed to be like an iPhone, right? But I think the symbol is not an apple. I think it's a bomb. I think that's the idea, even though it looks like an apple. I could tell he was gently teasing me. Well... He shifted, put his mouth next to my ear, and whispered only to me. Yeah. Okay. He caught my chin, turned me toward him, and softly smooched. I would happily stay like this forever. I was sure now Towa loved me, and it was the best feeling in the world. Okay. As the player, I'm kind of disappointed actually, because I mean obviously it's a Tome game, you expect a romance, but I actually kind of want a little bit more of the actual, Hogstein thing. What happened with like the real Hogstein, and I guess we'll learn that later in the other routes. I kind of just skipped the final part of the actual, games, I guess. There's some other CGs, by the way, that you didn't see in the route, because I kind of like, use a diary to skip to his branch. So again, yeah, I'm probably not gonna like literally get every single scene that involves all the characters, because it's a lot. But at least you get to see the CG in the credits, even if you don't get it all. That's good. So yeah, there you go. Wakasa's ending. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of cool. I like his character development. Again, all the characters kind of grow on me, so I don't really hate them. I never really hated them, but I like them a little bit more because they have more depth as a character and everything. And obviously the romance. I don't know. I mean, again, obviously this is like a romance visual novel, so it's what you expect. It's just for me, like, I just don't really... I'm not really invested, in it too much, is the thing. I'm more interested in the mystery part, but I don't know, it's fine. Alright, they got a good ending, that's fine. Probably get the bad ending though right after. I want to see if anything changes. Like, what does he say? Like he just decides not to be Saki's boyfriend or something. Is that how it ends up or something? I don't know. I wonder, is the credit song always the same? I can't tell. For some reason it feels like it's different, but maybe it's the same. I don't remember the credits having a sick guitar solo before. Or maybe it's just me, maybe I just don't remember. Yeah. Okay. So, after you finish that, Finn. Did it always say Finn before? I guess it did. Save. Alright. Let me just go quickly and check out the bad ending. That's what I'm gonna do. Let's see. Shido. Yeah, Wakasa. Alright. And make it 0. Mwahaha. I'm gonna like break them up. So evil. Anyway, skip everything. Everything's about the same. I just wonder what changes. In Shido's route, you know, Shido was like, I couldn't defend you, so now I can't, you know, be with you. What happens with Wakasa? So here is Wakasa's ending without any affection. I don't think anything changes. You know, I'm totally pooped. When we got back to my room, I flopped on my bed, boneless. All my attention suddenly gone. You know, like some boneless pizza, no? This feels heavenly. I'm so ready to crash. Okay, so this time he doesn't like cuddle with you. It took a few seconds for my sleepy brain to realize he was about to leave. He's going already? Oh wait. Oh no, it's nothing. Why did I do that? Why did I not want him to leave? The moment he turned to go, I felt worried. Like he wasn't gonna come back. Yeah, sorry. Really, never mind. He smiled reassuringly. Yeah, I think so too. Thanks, Toa. I'll see you later. As he closed the door behind him, my room fell silent. Everything's fine. Why wouldn't it be? My eyes slid closed as I tried to convince myself. Before I could make much of an argument, though, I was asleep. As I looked at the affection meter and it says 0. You know, that's why Saki's so worried. Alright, so this should be about the same. Alpha pass, working on that for my nap. They managed to beat the final game. Shido arranged it, that they wouldn't be harassed all the time. Uncle didn't have the same thing. Or didn't have as much luck as the people who played the game. Maybe she got a part-time job, or everybody turned himself in. He's like video games now. He's a gamer. He started streaming and became a e-boy, you know. Shido was hunting down the truth. None of the mysteries surrounding Hogstein had been solved. Shido noted that the piglets were hypnotized. As for me, he really is amazing. You know, we just stare longingly at his music videos forever. Sprawled out on my bed, I watched the video. It was concert footage from a junior boys show. Known for their sharp choreography and catchy lyrics, they were one of the most popular boy bands out there. It was pretty amazing to remember one of them had once told me he fallen in love with me. Toa. He had left in a limo the moment we'd been released from the park, without a word to me about anything. I didn't hear from him at all after that, not even a text to say hi. It was as if he forgot about me, as he just totally left her hanging. I finally gathered enough courage to call him his number last week. I got a hold of him, but... I was shocked. His apology was so offhand, like he didn't feel guilty at all for leaving me hanging. This is his real true nature. This is his playboy ending.
ごめんね。じゃあこれで。
This is the realistic ending. And then he hung up. My last shred of hope fizzled, and so did my crush on him. Had I just imagined we were close back then? At least I got to be the girlfriend of a famous singer for a while, huh? I guess it was just a dream. I tried to cheer myself up, but it didn't help. My heart still hurt. Okay. That's actually what he would do. That would probably be part of his personality. He's like, sorry, I actually didn't like you. I was just pretending, dummy. I just, you know, I'm just a playboy. I'm just what do you call them? A heartbreaker or something? Like someone who like, you know, has a lot of girlfriends and then just breaks up with them after like a one-night stand or something. Heartbreaker. There's something else, I can't remember what exactly you would call them. But anyway, that's the bad ending for Wakasa. And so, well, let's go down another route, is what we're gonna do. We finished 3 endings. There's, well, there's 3 known endings left. At least, routes, rather, if you don't count the bad endings. But there's also a 4th one, but, you know, we'll get to that when we get to that. For now, though, let's see. So it is Shido, Wakasa, Meoshi. I guess next one is Shirabe? He's the older guy. I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. Oof. The older man.